AVRant and SVS have teamed up to bring you an unbelievable opportunity. Have you been dreaming of dual subwoofers? Perhaps you'd like to upgrade your entire 5.1 speaker package. Don't have the cash? AVRant and SVS have your back. Go to www.avrant.com right now for your chance to win your choice of dual PB1000 subwoofers or a prime 5.1 satellite speaker package. Contest ends September 30th. Don't wait. Open to the residents of the United States and Canada. We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
All right, Chris. Now, Chris has decided to upgrade his front speakers first rather than the subwoofers. Now, this is the guy, he had a real small room. Is that right? Am I remembering this guy correctly?
No, I mean, it was a living room attached to a kitchen, and then the
Okay.
stairway that went upstairs, and the stairway
Yes.
was wide open, so he was like, is this room just too much to even try to upgrade anything? We're like, no, go ahead, try to
Didn't we
upgrade.
say put a door? Wasn't that our thing?
Well, that was somebody else, but it would work for him too. He could put a door at the bottom, in fact, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyways, he decided to upgrade his front speakers first rather than the subs. He'd like to stay under 150 a pair if possible, but also wants to make sure he's getting something that he can live with for a long time, as he won't be upgrading again anytime soon. We've mentioned the Pioneer Andrew Jones speakers often. Are they truly that great? Or should he be aiming his sights higher? What speakers does he currently have? Do we remember?
He's got Yamaha home theater in a box speakers. He's got.
They are that great.
They are also larger than you might think,
Yes,
because
they are.
your little home theater in a box speakers are very small right now, and they're on little stick stands. These guys are bigger. They are substantially bigger. The Pioneers.
Yes. Yes. They are proper speakers.
Yeah,
as I
no,
would
I mean, the
say.
reason I like them so much is because at that price point, there's very little else. I don't know if there's anything else, honestly, that sounds as good as they do at their $130 a pair price point for the bookshelves. I mean, that's not very expensive for speakers, and they sound darn good, and very little else can compete with them at that price. We mentioned all the little tiny satellite speakers that you might consider, but most of
Right.
them cost more than the
They do.
Pioneers. Most of them do,
They
like
do.
the NHT Super Zeros. They cost more than these. You know, they're
I think
$125,
they're
$25 each.
Yeah, each. Yeah.
You know, so they're basically double the price of these. But that's just to get you something that's physically smaller. So the question is, how much more do you have to spend to hear something that sounds better than the Pioneer Andrew Jones? And then how much better are they? Which is, of course, is a subjective thing. But
Right.
I would say the Ascend Acoustics CBM-170SEs, those are $350 a pair. I mean, percentage-wise, that's a huge increase in price. But I would say they're a clear step up in audio quality, but you're paying well more than double the price to get there, right? So there's that balancing out. Maybe the EMP Techs, I think, sort of split the difference, right? They're $225 a pair, so they're basically $100 more. They probably sound better than the Pioneers. They can play louder than the Pioneers. That's for sure. So if you need loud output, there's that advantage. So it's like, man, it's really tough, because if you're like $150 is all I have to spend, then it's easy, right?
Yeah.
Then it's like, get the Andrew Jones, don't even think about it. But if you're like, well, I could spend $250, I could spend $350, I'd have to save up to do it, but I could. It's like, you can get better, but then, what about filling out the rest of your system, right? What about
That's
getting the
right.
center speaker? There's that to consider too. So it's a tough call. You'll have to sort of subjectively make it for yourself, but just so you have in mind how much more you have to spend to get something that I personally would say, oh yeah, that's a better speaker than the Pioneer Andrew Jones.
How much are the Pioneer Andrew Jones again?
$130 per pair.
130 per pair.
And that's retail. You
Yeah.
can often find them for less. They're
Yeah,
often,
it's awfully hard at this price point, at that price point to compare directly. These different speakers that we're talking about, they all have limitations.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and they've all made design choices based on what the speaker manufacturer wanted to make, what they were comfortable working with, and uh, what price point they were trying to hit. So, you know, I am very partial to the EMP Tek speakers myself. I love the RBH sound. I love how those particular speakers look.
Mm-hmm.
They're gorgeous. And they're not just these black boxes that we see everywhere, but, you know, they've got a lot more going for them. And generally speaking, depending on which ones you get. And you know, I think their sound to me is very pleasing, very flat,
Mm-hmm.
and like Rob says, can get very loud. You don't need super loud, but then again, you say you're not going to upgrade for a while, so
Yep.
you know where might you end up? If the where you might end up is just sitting in the same room the entire time, maybe you don't need speakers that play very loud. So you can spend a little bit of that, some of those design choices they made on something else.
Yeah, I mean,
Now,
what I would love to suggest that I do is the Pioneer Andrew Jones you can get at Best Buy, right? So I would say, or Amazon, but if you can go to Best Buy and pick up a pair, the Ascend Acoustics CBM-170SEs have free shipping both ways and full refunds if you return them. The EMP Techs you'd have to pay the return shipping,
that's true.
but maybe just the two, maybe the two that you could return for absolutely free by just going to your local Best Buy and getting the Ascends, because there you're looking at 130 per pair versus 350 per pair. That's a really good comparison for you to make to say, is this $220 better to me, right? Because for some people it will be, for some people it won't, but you're risk free either way. You send back the ones you decide not to keep. I would love to see him do that if that's a possibility, because I think that's the only way to properly answer it in your own head, Chris.
I agree, Chris. If you can do that, do that. Also, you can also call EMP and see what they say about how much the return shipping is too. If it's only like $20 or $50,
Yeah, because if it's
like
only
that,
the
it might be worth it to you.
If it's only the bookshelves, they're not huge and they're not heavy, so
No, they're going to come in one single box, and you know, it's pretty easy to put them back in there. I've done it a bunch. Lastly, he asks, he'd be sad if he bought new speakers only to have his receiver blow up trying to handle them. Should his Yamaha HTR 3065 have any trouble driving the Pioneers or whatever speakers he decides on? No, they're not going to have any problems, dude.
Yeah, it's basically 85 watts a channel. I know they say 100 watts per channel and a thing, but they fudge that by being one channel driven at 100 watts per channel. But
it doesn't really matter, though.
Yeah.
I mean, any HDR, any receiver at any level should be able to drive any speaker you're probably looking at. And I say that not in any sort of way to put you down or anything. It's just the price points that you're looking at. They are building speakers to be very easy to drive for AV receivers that are out there. Now, will you be able to take these speakers and put them in a very large room and blast
and sit
them
far away? No,
no, you will not be able to do that with this receiver. But you are not going to do that, so it does not matter.
Yeah,
so,
like don't turn the volume as high as it will go as your starting point. Start lower, be reasonable, gradually turn it up. And if you start to hear distress of any sort, turn it back down and then realize that's about as loud as you can go. So is it possible to damage either receiver or their speakers by turning it too high? It's conceivable. I'm not going to say it's an absolute impossibility and you're safe no matter what you do. But as long as you are reasonable with it when you first get it, then it'll be fine. And it will absolutely power any of these speakers.
Okay. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.